Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Gina. I want to do a quick review of this book, I Gotcha, Elvis, I Gotcha, which Tony, my friend Tony, has lent to me and had it for a while. Really need to give it back to him. I don't like holding on to things too long. But I've read it, and it's by a fan who, in 1975, her and her husband moved to Memphis for his job, and both being Elvis fans, they wanted to see Graceland and see Elvis if they could. Well, the number of times they saw Elvis and did all the usual fan things over in Memphis, she had enough to write a book. She must have written it all down every day because it's very, very detailed. So I'll just show you the pictures that she's got in here first, and then I'm going to read some of the bits out because they're really priceless, some of the things the fans got up to. Elvis on Duel, that's her son, I think, on stage with Elvis. She got to excuse me, got to go to a few concerts. Geez, I went to one and I think I was lucky. I would love to have gone to a few. Oops, I've pulled my bookmarks out, never mind. Anaheim, California, November 1976. Gosh, that was the day, 2 days after I saw him. Different outfit. Baton Rouge, May 1977. This is, I'm pretty sure Derl, D-E-R-L, the little child, is her son. Or maybe a son of somebody she knew at the time. Memphis, July 1976. Baton Rouge, May 1977. Long Beach, April 76. Omaha, Nebraska, 1977. Let's see. Oh, here we are. Got some more photos. Long Beach, 1976. Joyce and Linda. Some of the fans that she met up with at Graceland. Photographing fans taking photographs with Elvis. Cindy and Elvis at Vickers, Memphis, Omaha, Nebraska. What a beautiful sign. Cindy with Elvis at Troy Hilton, Troy, Michigan. Betty ran to get picture Atlanta, June, Elvis in the back there. And this one, they're peering through cracks of doors at Elvis, 1975. Birthday cake, 41st birthday cake, January 8, 1976. And that's the airplane, August 17, 1976. Tori Petty with friend, I don't know what that means. Tori and Elvis. Tori Petty with friend. Anyway, must be her name. Anyway, Elvis on his motorbike. Elvis looked at fans. Okay, Elvis waves at fans. April 3rd, 1976. Elvis entering Graceland. April 3rd, 1976. Elvis leaving for Southbrook. January 77. Elvis entering Graceland. His bike. That would have been a sight to see. Sandra getting an autograph from Elvis, 1975. Long Beach, California, the bottom one. Kansas, Missouri, June, geez. Get Charlie. Kansas City, Missouri, June 18, 77. Omaha, Nebraska, June 1977. Dallas, Texas, 76. Elvis sings Hurt at Omaha, Nebraska. Deal doing an Elvis kick. Kick. Betty and James by the Stutz, 1975. There's some of the fans. This one's below Fort Worth, June 76, Elvis. Of the plane. Memphis, Tennessee, 75. Graceland, spring of 76. Police saluting, August 1877. Hearst leaving Graceland, 1877. Mausoleum and the meditation gardens here. So, okay, I did have bookmarks and they've all fallen out. Almost all fallen out. But I think I think this, excuse me, I can sort of find, let's see, I'll just turn this around and see if it's going to focus on me. Let's check that. There, that'll do. Okay, so I'll read some of these passages from the book. It's a fascinating book from a fan's point of view, not a journalist or a family member or entourage. July 1976 was the beginning of the most thrilling part of my entire life. I'll never forget that day. That's the day I first went to Elvis's house. My husband and I left Fort Worth, Texas, pulling a trailer to a new construction site in Memphis, Tennessee. James's boss sent us here. And then she goes on about daughters in the 60s are Elvis fans. Since I've been at Elvis's front gate, I have met many, many fans. They come in all shapes, sizes and ages, and all countries too. They all get hooked on Elvis. One girl came out from out of town to see the mansion and has been at the gate every night, 7 nights a week for 7 years. Now, that's, I think, a bit over the top. You know. It's kind of a disease, Elvis mania, they call it. After we found the new job location, parked our trailer, I was anxious to see Graceland. We didn't know where it was, except that it was in Memphis. We called on our CB radio and asked if anybody knew the way to Elvis's house. After the laughter had died down, one truck came on and said, take Highway 55 to Highway 51. Head south on 51, which is Elvis Presley Boulevard, and you'll know when you get there. Imagine having the street you live on named after you. Memphis must really appreciate him. We drove along Interstate 240 heading west. I was tingling all over. We passed the Memphis International Airport. Just ahead was the exit for Interstate 55. I knew we were getting close. I couldn't sit still. I'd never seen a movie star before. I was excited just knowing I was about to see the home of somebody famous. Take it easy, Betty, my husband said. We're almost there. Shush up and drive. Okay, Elvis Presley Boulevard. Okay, and she goes on about how they pulled up outside Graceland. Yeah. She describes the building, the Graceland and the gates. Sitting in the circle driveway was a long dark blue Mercedes limousine and 2 Cadillacs. He's here, I shouted at James. Here I was sitting in front of his house, his home. There must have been 30 fans looking over the fence or shifting back and forth, trying to see through the front gate. 2 large white swinging gates with a green silhouette of Elvis. High rock fence surrounded the property. We crossed the street and mingled with the fans. They were all excited just being here. They bragged about how many times they'd seen Elvis, how many concerts they'd been to, how many pictures they had. Their excitement was definitely catching. I was already eager to hear what everyone had to say. It's like, you've really done something when you've seen Elvis as Elvis the man. I had to see him now. I had to see what this Elvis mania was all about. It was getting late, but I was so anxious to see Elvis come out, I couldn't drag myself away. Go to the gate, talk to the guards, talk to the other fans. Let's see. 10:30 at night. I've been talking and carrying on with everyone, never once worrying about eating or how late it was. I'd already found out how time goes fast when you're discussing Elvis. About 1 o'clock in the morning, one of the fans shouted, "Elvis is leaving!" Everybody scrambled. I was almost trampled. I hadn't not expected anything like this from such a calm group, but I wasn't about to miss it. The car's headlights grew closer and closer. I could hardly wait. Sure enough, it was Elvis driving his Stutz with some girl in the front seat. Everyone was screaming and waving and yelling as that beautiful black car pulled past. Elvis smiled, that crooked, sexy little smile of his, and waved back. God, that man is good looking, and that smile. I don't think I could ever forget that moment. I couldn't believe I had seen him live, in person, so close. My heart was still beating loud enough to hear. It was over so fast, I felt cheated, like I didn't really see him. Then I remembered that smile, and I knew. I knew I'd have to see him again. Once is not enough. Everyone huddled into small groups as soon as Elvis pulled out the gate and discussed how great Elvis looked tonight. Seeing him really woke me up. I had to go. 35 miles to Graceland and learn more about Elvis. So where her husband was stationed, that was 35 miles to Graceland, but they went there every free weekend at Elvis's house, watching for him and talking to all the fans who stopped by for a glimpse of him. In no time, it was evident who the regulars were. They were the ones who stayed and stayed. They were the ones who were there every time I went there. They were the ones who knew all about Elvis. They had pictures and souvenirs. I don't know how it happened. I just got hooked and never felt tired. Let me see. Okay. August the 16th, Elvis was to leave for his 2-week Las Vegas tour. I was anxious to be there to see him leave. This was the first time he had left since I'd been there. I didn't want to miss seeing him for 3 weeks, so I had to go. We were there early Saturday morning in case Elvis came out to see the fans. You never know what he's going to do. Get later and later. Then about midnight, those lights came swinging around the bend. Everyone lined up both sides of the drive, waving and screaming and yelling as Elvis's limousine pulled up to the gate. Just as he pulled up beside the large oak tree across from the guardhouse, Elvis stood up through the roof of the limousine and waved and smiled at everybody. The crowd went wild. There's a floodlight just over the gate lighting the drive, and you could see Elvis just like it was daytime. Then he was gone. It always goes so quick. He really looked in good spirits. I couldn't believe I was that close to him, that every day common people can get that close to such a well-known person. He's not the snobby person so many millions are, but he's still common folk at heart. And so it goes on. Now I've got a bit here, let me see. Yeah, I'm talking about some of the fans. Here we are. A few days later, the weather was nice. Elvis apparently couldn't stay cooped up any longer. He's too vivacious. He came down his driveway, happy and carefree, on his three-wheeler and out the front gate. When he came through the gate, he looked very happy, friendly, very rested, and ready for action. Elvis drove in and out of the gate, up and down the street, apparently having a ball with his new toy. One time he would have Linda Thompson on the back of his three-wheeler. The next day he had one of his bodyguards on it with him. I heard this went on for 3 days straight. I wish I could have seen him Saturday and Sunday. When his three-wheeler game started, all the fans went really wild. Things seemed to relax after Elvis quit. Yeah, it's hard to believe the things that you do at Graceland. Just sitting on the curb, talking for hours to different fans about Elvis. Doesn't seem weird when you're doing it, but I'm sure passers-by think so. Elvis makes you feel like you're a kid again with some of his antics. You just want to do the things Elvis does, to follow him, to adore him. One weekend while waiting for Elvis, there were 4 girls from England, 2 from France, and 4 from all over the US at Graceland on Saturday afternoon eating a picnic. Sandwiches, pickles, chips, a whole bit. On Elvis's lawn, in the rain. Of course, we huddled around the trees to stay a little dry. But when you're talking Elvis, you don't seem to have the sense enough to come in and out of the rain. No telling what the British and French think of us Americans after that story got spread around, influencing that people like that. Oh, dear. After another time, a pregnant girl from Ohio came to Graceland to try and see Elvis. After talking, I decided to take her, Flo, I think her name was, and her friends along the side fence to the backyard, where you could see over the fence, or through the fence. And did we have a surprise? Elvis, Linda, Red, David and 3 of his other bodyguards were in the backyard clowning around. Elvis would do some fancy karate kicks and ah-ahing. We could hardly keep quiet. Elvis is bound to have heard us giggling. We stayed until dark and we couldn't see any more. We could still hear them, so we knew they were there. Ah, dear. Yeah. Look, it's the whole book. It's just a little book. It's just full of just such cool stories about seeing him. I don't know if she got to speak to him. Oh, yeah, there's one really funny bit where her husband, let's see, where was it? Her husband, oh yeah, that's right, yeah. One Saturday afternoon about 1 o'clock, we were hanging around the gates, waiting for someone to show up that we could talk to, when suddenly Elvis came down the drive on his three-wheeler. I was standing by the guard's yellow Bronco just a few feet away from Elvis when he passed by. I couldn't contain myself. I was excited, shocked. He normally doesn't come out that early. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Elvis breezed by me and I shouted, "Elvis, Elvis, Elvis, Elvis!" I couldn't stop. His name just kept coming out. He looked back at me as if I was going into hysterics and just laughed. Then he did a double take and laughed twice as hard at me, standing screaming, waving my arms and stomping my feet. Me, a grown woman. And that laugh of his, I almost wet my pants. My heart was pounding so hard I couldn't hear myself think. I couldn't even move. The gates were closed, so Elvis had to stop just a few feet from me, but I just stood there. The guard was on the phone and didn't see Elvis, so James, her husband, walked calmly over to Elvis and asked if Elvis would like for him to open the gate. Elvis said, "Would you please?" I couldn't believe this. My husband's standing there talking to Elvis, just inches away. Oh, God, even James was grinning ear to ear when he came back, talking about smug. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Well, yeah, crazy. And they followed into the theatres and, let me see, what's this? Elvis, I think it's like the Chickasaw Club, whatever that is. Soon that dark blue limousine came wheeling up the driveway. Red West's car turned sideways in the drive to block the other fans until Elvis got inside. I giggled how well our scheme had worked. Elvis's limo pulled up just in front of us and Elvis got out wearing a long white coat with red lining. He glanced around as if to say, "Where is everybody?" then started into the club. I know he thrives on the fans chasing him. I bumped Linda, that's her girlfriend, not Linda Thompson, and told her to say something. She stuck her head out the window and said, "Hey, Elvis, I like your coat." Elvis turned and raised his hand and smiled. "Thank you. You all be careful now, you hear?" Man, he looked great walking down that dimly lit walk in that gorgeous white coat, shining black hair. Brenda told me how she felt about getting so close to Elvis. It was her first time to chase Elvis like this. She said we were right behind his bodyguards as he turned into the country club when suddenly his bodyguard turned sideways in the driveway, blocking us out. But not me. I jumped out of the car and lit across the parking lot. Just as I was almost there, Elvis got out and started walking up the sidewalk. The lights were just bright enough to make it all more enticing. There he was, walking just a few feet in front of me, by himself. No bodyguards, no crowds. Then somebody yelled out, "Hey, Elvis, we like your coat." He turned around and I froze, right there in the parking lot, just a few feet away from him. All I could think of later was if I just kept going. So deep, so serious and so masculine. I just wanted to melt. Oh, oh God. Oh, dear. Yeah, anyway. I won't read anymore, but look, if you can get hold of this book, it's probably hard to get hold of because it was published in 1977, but I'm sure they pop up on eBay from time to time or somebody's collection. Yeah, okay. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. You probably think I'm mad. You don't really, if you're a real Elvis fan, you don't think I'm mad, do you? Okay, well, I've got some LPs to do a video of, so I'll finish this and come back to you soon. Bye.